Hey everyone, you're watching Soundwaves TV. Chasta, Dennis, DJ Bear, and the Hot Takes. We got Jared, we got Patrick. How you guys doing?
Hey.
Doing great, thank you.
Absolutely. This is a fun, different style interview, more like a round table.
Kind of, yeah. But it's us who usually does this kind of thing. DJ Bear, who is probably your number one fan.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And so followed closely by me because Up All Night is the banger
It's the
of
banger.
the friggin' decade.
Yes.
You know how much I love that song because I've pulled you off to the side and I'm like, I love that friggin' song.
Well, Baby Huey was actually talking about it a minute ago.
Was he? Okay.
He was like, that song, what was it? I'm like, probably Up All Night because Dennis really likes that song.
I played it like 6 or 7 times on Soundwaves FM. It's like, oh, I need a 3-minute song right here. I'm going to
Well, I'm kind of jealous of you, actually, because you were able to pick a favorite.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Between the two EPs, all of them?
Yeah.
All of them?
Well.
It's a love fest for the Hot Takes.
Well,
Welcome
yes.
to Soundwaves. That's always a nice day.
I mean, we were going to interview you, but you could just sit there and we'll compliment you first.
Exactly.
You know what the best part is? I wasn't even on the first 2 EPs. You know, I'm the new kid, so.
Oh, take all the credit then.
Yeah, no. If
Dude,
you
run
guys
with
want to
it.
just
Run
stoke
with
my
it.
ego, I haven't even done anything. It's fine.
Well,
Nice,
okay,
nice.
but that's a good starting point because I did, Kyle, who's you are replacing. I mean, how does it feel to be sitting in for...
It's big shoes to fill. Big shoes to fill. He's a lot funnier than I am. You know, and you know, I from a musical standpoint, you know, I once again big shoes to fill, but I'm comfortable where I'm at, and you know, everybody's been so welcoming, and you know, I the first time I met these guys, I met you it was Brick and Mortar, what, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. My old band was playing, and you know, you came up and invited us to play a show, and then time came for Kyle to take his leave. And it was, you know, one of the biggest honors of my life because I knew you guys were special the minute that we played at Oakland Secret, I think it was, you know, small little venue in Oaktown. And, you know, being asked was a massive honor. And, you know, here we are. So.
Well, I will say this. We see a lot of bands in the Bay Area. A lot of bands come through. And the one thing that I think Chasta and I talk about it all the time, which is there are bands who kind of show up in a timid way. Mm-hmm. They kind of put their toe in the water. And then there's bands that show up fully formed, where when they get, you're like, where has this band been? I feel like I've been sleeping on this band for 10 years. But no, you just, and you guys arrived. And Jared, I want to ask you this. Yeah. I'm guessing this is your brainchild. I'm guessing the Hot Takes, was it a group thing? Did it start with you? Because you guys showed up fully formed. The Hot Takes were immediately a thing. Mm-hmm. And how did I miss you for the last 10 years?
It was just kind of a weird thing how it happened because I am from the East Coast. And so that's where I've been.
Okay.
I came out here in, it was late 2016, and it took a little while, but then after a while I wanted to get back. I had some bands out there in like the Boston and Connecticut areas, wanted to get back into that whole scene, but it took 18 months to find people I really felt good about playing music with and jam with a bunch of different people. Didn't really work out. Then I met Kyle and Dan, who came as a package deal, which was beautiful because they knew each other already. So that was great. Then Chad joined as a drummer and we were ready to get out there, start playing. And the pandemic happened.
Oh, we've heard that.
God, yeah, we have. Unfortunately, that's a story for a lot of bands.
But, you know, for us, instead of just shutting it down, we were like, let's make the best of this. Let's do an EP. We've got some songs. Let's try to do an EP. It was a little bit of a tough process to do it under those circumstances, but we did it. It was, I think, considering the circumstances, it came out pretty well. And we were talking the whole time. We were like, you know, we're good as a 4-piece, but if we happen to find like a female vocalist who also plays synth, we'd love to add that to the band, but we're not going to find that. It's like, it's like, you know, seeing Bigfoot. It's like not going to happen. We're not going to find that. And by some miracle, we found Jillian, who just is amazing and just like fits our vibe, is like very genre-wise is very, you know, in the same, you know, this fits very well with us.
Definitely in the pocket for sure.
So it just was a beautiful thing. So when we finally were able to start getting out there and playing again, you know, it was the 5 of us. And it looked good. It looked seamless. And now we're going to be 6 with Patrick.
That's amazing. I feel like stuff like that is written in the stars. When people come into your life so seamlessly and they just click right in, I feel like those moments were always meant to be. I feel that way about this crew, actually, the Soundwaves crew. you pointed out that you were on the East Coast and other music scenes. We talk a lot about other music scenes, other parts of the country, what's happening there. How you guys play a lot here. How do you feel you could compare what's happening in the Bay to maybe what's happening where you were on the East Coast?
It's interesting because like there have been like little gaps for me. So like when I was in the Boston music scene, this was like in like 2007 to 2009. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
But that was kind of cool because there was kind of this really cool like indie rock revival kind of going on there. I was playing music in this part of Boston called Allston, which is very hipster. At that time, it was very hipstery part of the Boston area. So it was kind of a cool little scene for a little bit. And then, I mean, Connecticut is like where music goes to die. You're stuck in between Boston and New York. So
no
like,
offense, Connecticut.
No. I mean, yeah. I actually like New Haven a lot, but like it is
Not
what it is.
for the scene,
Yeah.
so to speak. Yeah.
Right. But coming out here, it's really been amazing just because you have Oakland, you have San Francisco, you have Berkeley, you have San Jose, you have all these different pockets, and it's all part of like one musical ecosystem. So there's so many places you can play and bands you can meet, and the bands out here it's an amazing community, and I think that's what I've enjoyed the most about it, is really just being us as a band being accepted into that community and being a part of it, and it's really been wonderful.
That's good to hear. That makes me happy. It also is an interesting take on something we talk about. It sounds like a positive take on something that we have pointed out that might not be so positive, is that the music scene here struggles because it is separated by bridges. Right? So you have an East Bay scene, you have a San Jose scene, you have a San Francisco scene, yada, yada, yada. And I always feel like I want to like squish those together and make like a super scene, right? But it's very hard to do that with geography being what it is. But you just pointed it out like it's a good thing. Like which is great. That's great. That's how we should reframe that, as like, this is happening over in Berkeley. This is happening over here. We got stuff popping up all over the place. We shouldn't limit it because it's hard to get across the bridges.
I think it was just because of my previous perspective about like, I feel like I'm dunking on Connecticut, but I'm really not. But just
okay. Connecticut isn't a sponsor. Don't worry, we're fine.
But it was just that was just really limited in terms of how where you were going to play there. There's only so many venues, and then or you could either drive an hour and a half to New York City or drive 2.5 hours to Boston or whatever. So it's just like everything. There's a more of an accessibility to it, which I think has just been beautiful. And yeah, I really, I don't know how you feel about it, but.
I more or less growing up in the Bay Area. I mean, I moved around a lot, but most of my time has been spent in like the Tri-Valley, Dublin, Livermore, Pleasanton. And about 10, 12 years ago, I was in a band, and there was a fantastic scene in Fremont and, decent scene in Livermore. And the cross-pollination between the two was very, it was great. It was fantastic, very constructive. And, we didn't really branch out that much into Oakland or San Francisco that much because, I don't really know why. But one of the things I always thought about was, you have these little localized, intellectual gene pools, I guess you could call them. And then you take the one, smash it into another, see what happens. And then you have this whole new thing. So, but having
intellectual gene pool, that's the first time that's ever been used on Soundwaves. Very well, very well said. I dig that. No, you're bringing us up a level, sir. Thank you.
I just pulled that out.
Very nice. So what is next for you? Do you plan out the year? I know a lot of musicians, they plan all of their gigs and festivals and things like that. And how do you fit in recording? What's your grand plan here?
Yeah, no,
That's a good question.
That's a very good question. I mean, we don't like to, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. We don't like to overplan it, but at the same time, we do like to have some things lined up. So we do actually have a number of cool shows coming up in the not too distant future. Which I don't know how much we want to get into that now, but I think we have some exciting stuff coming up a little bit later this year, which I think is going to be cool from a show perspective. But recording, that's kind of more like when we feel like we've got some songs in a place where we're good to, at this point we're kind of like enjoy playing them out first, kind of getting them, really getting tight with them as a band. So we do have a couple new ones we're working on. It's a little embarrassing because we haven't debuted a new song in like 2 years just because of a lot of circumstances. But we got
some very good reasons. Yeah.
But we got some new ones. We got a lot of stuff in the queue. So there's going to be some new songs. I think maybe March 2024, for those of you who are watching this well after the fact. March 2024, we're going to, I think, have a couple new songs we're going to debut. And
I feel DJ Bear having a party inside.
I feel another review coming on.
Yeah.
I'll get my sunscreen.
Yeah.
But I discovered you guys on Bandcamp because I was, and Bandcamp needs to fix their search function where you can search by city. Hello, thank you. But anyway, that's ultimately how I found you. So how has, outside of me, how has Bandcamp helped in terms of your sales and like getting notoriety? Has that been useful, or is it just more word of mouth?
I think you're our success story from to be honest.
The one success story.
Hey, that's a good one to have.
Yes,
just for the
absolutely.
record.
No, I mean it's definitely a useful tool. I like that people can access the music without having to have a barrier, like having paying for a platform or something.
Right.
So, and we just make it free on there. If you want to download it, knock yourself out. That's fine. But yeah, no, I mean, I think really it's kind of like, when you get into like talking about Spotify, it just becomes a whole discussion about like, well, they pay their artists like crap, but at the same time it's exposure, right? So which is more important? So, yeah.
Well, that's something we're always talking about, how to do this and everything else better and more efficient, and how do you live in 2024 and be vital and everything. And a lot of the experts will just tell you got to be where the audience is. You got to put your stuff where people already are and remove the barrier to entry.
Right.
So
and I want to say on that note specifically, when I saw your first show, I forget the lineup. I think it was Jupiter Noise, you.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
Strange Cities.
Strange City. Okay.
I love them actually.
Yeah.
And then it was some time before I saw you again. And by the second time I saw you, I think it was the Stork Club. And you had shirts. You had the lights going on the stage, and you had groupies because they were wearing the same shirts. And I was like, this is what I love about this local scene, is that when you get hooked on a band, word of mouth spreads, people show up. And out of all the bands I've seen locally, you're a very interesting case for me, because the first time I saw you, there wasn't a lot of theatrics because you didn't have the money. But as you've done more shows, it seemed like the money you make on the show goes into the next show.
Our money, we don't make any money, so it definitely gets reinvested into
then you buy the light, you buy like the next little addition to the stage show of like the Hot Take sign. And
well, I'm going to throw a shout out to our drummer Chad, who designed all our lighting.
Excellent.
I don't know how. I don't want to know how. He made it
Did he
happen.
also design the album covers? Yes.
He definitely designed the most recent one. And the one before. You're right. Yeah. He knows more about the band than I do.
I love that.
You know more about it than I do. You're more,
I got to interview you.
Yeah. I'm just hearing this from...
Nice.
Well, tell everybody where you guys are online, because I want to make sure that I point out, you mentioned if you want to download the music, fine, you do that.
Yeah.
But if you do that, you better freaking show up to a show.
That's right.
And you better buy the merch.
Yep.
And you better do all the other things, because that's how we support
And
our
dance.
bands. So
Yeah.
where
And
should
dance.
everybody follow you, find you, and find out about all the gigs coming up?
Yeah, we are on Instagram at the Hot Takes Band, also on Facebook at the Hot Takes Band. I guess on Bandcamp, you just type in the Hot Takes and we should show up. You'll recognize, you're not
black
on there
and
yet,
pink.
but you will be soon.
Soon and very soon.
Look for
And
the hot
I
pink.
look kind of close to Kyle-ish. With the long hair, got the beard. We're blonde. That's about it.
But we're on Spotify too as the Hot Takes, and just look for the black and pink. And the reason I say this is because there's a band in the UK called the Hot Takes. And it's a little bit of a funny story, because they I don't know how we found this out, but they actually had a different name before, and they changed their name because their previous name was the same as another band.
Oh, geez.
And then they walked. We had already been using the name, so we were like, oh well, okay.
I didn't know
So we
that
get
story.
tagged a lot. Well, not so much anymore, but we used to get tagged a lot by bands, like venues in the UK, being like, come see the Hot Takes band, and we're like, well, that would be great, except it's not.
It's not us. Yeah.
you need to tour the UK, is what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hearing
Yeah.
too.
We fight it out.
connect those with those venues
Right.
and build a UK tour. That's what I'm thinking.
That would be
The
awesome.
hot takes with the hot takes. I mean, that'll
That would
really
be very, very confusing.
Right.
But yeah.
You can't miss.
Hey, the pink is noticeable. You've got a touch of it in a couple places, but will you show your nails just because that's very hot takes pink, I think. You're really close to it. I love it. Thank you guys for dropping by
Thank you
and
for
having a
having
little
us.
round table with us. This is very, very cool. We're
Thanks for
excited to
having
see
us.
what comes from you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all your support. We really appreciate you.
Absolutely. All right, you're watching
Excellent.
Soundwaves TV. We'll be right back.